Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week. But before we get into that, you got like 2 weeks left to vote for the CBC Awards. We here at Pop Culture Philosophers, we've been nominated for 3. Right? We've been nominated for Best Comic Book Review, we've been nominated for Best Live Stream, and we've been nominated for the Hall of Fame. Now, typically, what I've been telling you is go, if you feel like it, to the description down below, or just go to cbcawards.org, vote for whoever you want, whether it's us or not, I don't care. Here we are, 2 weeks into it. Y'all, we need the votes. Let's go. PCP Army, get ready. Let's go. Let's see if we can actually get a win this year. That would be amazing. Please, go vote for PCP, for Best Comic Book Review, for Best Live Stream, and for the Hall of Fame. Anyway, that's it. We appreciate it. Link in the description down below. All right, we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Escape issue number 2 from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender with artwork by Daniel Acuna. Y'all, when issue number 1 of this came out, I was not vibing with it. I wasn't digging it. It was like a World War II dogfight type story, but I guess the clever bit were that the characters were dogs instead of humans. And honestly, I read it, I wasn't vibing with it, wasn't feeling it, and I moved on. But then, on the monthly comic book review, by the way, did you know that for the last few years, I've been doing a show pretty much on the Thursday after the last new comic book day of each month, right? We gather, me and some friends, who are also esteemed comic book YouTubers like Nick from Comic Culture, Eric from 9-Panel Grid, Greg from Bearded Comic Bro, and Stu from Dr. Doom's Fan Club. We gather, we talk about our favorite books of the month. And last month, everybody was all over the nuts of Escape issue number 1. So before I read that, I read the second printing of issue number 1. I reread issue number 1 of Escape. Why? Because I am not flawless. And I know that sometimes I read a book in a giant stack of books and it doesn't hit me quite the same way it would if I was reading it through leisure time or something like that, if that makes sense. That being said, there is a second printing of Escape issue number 1 out this week. I read it, and you know what? I didn't dislike it as much as I disliked it the first time. I thought it was pretty decent. Was it my top book of the month? Was it the pick of the week? No. But I did like it a little bit better. So right after reading that, I read issue number 2. And let me tell you something. Issue number 2 is something else. So this is a story written by Rick Remender. It's a personal story to him because if I'm remembering the back matter correctly, like his dad or his granddad or somebody was involved in World War I or World War II or something like that, right? So this is a world that's outside of our world. So it's not World War I, it's not World War II, but it is something like World War II or World War I, right? And yeah, everybody's like dogs and shit like that, but it doesn't matter because in issue number 2, well, first of all, what the whole series is about is just talking about the ramifications of war upon soldiers, especially when they're in the act of war, if that makes sense, right? Issue number 2, though, blew me away. Absolutely loved it. Even after rereading issue number 1 and being like, you know what? I was a bit harsh on that, but it still wasn't to the level I was expecting it to be. Issue number 2 definitely is. And the reason why is our main character at the end of issue number 1 is alone. Like everybody around him is killed. And now he's in enemy territory trying to fulfill one last mission. And in issue number 2, we get the flashback. We get the flashback to what he is losing, what he is at risk of losing, I should say, right? So he flashes back to when he first met his woman. He flashes back basically like when he first met his woman. And here's the thing, man. A lot of us have been through this, and life is life, and life is what it is until you meet that special someone. And when you meet that someone that you want to partner up with, it changes everything. And then when circumstances outside of your control find their way into your life of bliss, if you will, like it can change things in a heartbeat. And it does so here in issue number 2 of Escape. I loved this book. So I'm over the fact that they're just dogs and shit like that, right? Like, I Love Mouse by Art Spiegelman. It's great. It's basically a retelling of the Holocaust through the perspective of a Jewish father telling his story to his son. In that book, all of the Jewish people are mice, all of the Nazis are cats, all of the French are frogs, all of the dogs are, or all of the British are dogs. They are British bulldogs, literally. Anyway, that being said, take all of that aside. Daniel Acuna is illustrating the hell out of this book. The artwork is amazing, but what really sets it up as the pick of the week is the fact of showing us the cost of this soldier on a death mission to end a worldwide war. Really great stuff, super solid. Y'all, I'm just going to let you know this. Sometimes I'm wrong. People tell me I'm the greatest comic book reviewer of all time. Man, I've been wrong so many times. So many picks of the week don't pan out. So many books that I decide to skip out on wind up being some of my favorite comics. That being said, it's important to reread your comics or to try things again, especially when you hear people that you trust, right? So here's the thing. If the only comic book reviewer you watch is me, right? At least let you have the second opinion of the monthly comic book review, where you have people like Greg, Stu, Nick, and Eric talk to me about how great Escape #1 was, and even though I still don't quite agree with them, it led me perfectly, after rereading that, into accepting issue #2 and declaring it the pick of the week. By the way, if you're really excited for the monthly comic book review, we got another one Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central Time. Me, Nick, Stu, Eric, and Greg, and also my boy Jim Mint's joining us. That's right. He basically started the show. Jim Mint from Jim Mint Collectibles is going to be joining us on Thursday night for the monthly comic book review. Also from Image, we have Skinbreaker issue #1. This is a fantastic comic. It was almost the pick of the week itself. It's written by Robert Kirkman with artwork by David Finch. Robert Kirkman, anytime there's a new book from him, we pay attention. Seriously, this is the dude that created Invincible and The Walking Dead, right? And he's done other things that haven't quite hit, like Oblivion Song or Outcast, but lately, he's been killing it. He basically runs Skybound. Rob Liefeld declares him as the most successful independent comic book creator of all time, and it's hard to argue with that. But Robert Kirkman has really been on a stride, taking for Skybound the Hasbro rights to G.I. Joe and Transformers, allowing Daniel Warren Johnson and Josh Williamson, Jorge Corona, and others, Tom Riley and others, to really help build that franchise up. And then now he's taking over Transformers. Outside of that, he's revisited the Invincible universe with the Battle Beast series, which has been one of my favorite, most fun and exciting comic books of the year. Now we got Skinbreaker, not attached to the Energon universe, no Transformers or G.I. Joe here, not attached to the Invincible universe, but y'all, it freaking works. It's good. Let's talk about David Finch. I am a fan of David Finch, but a lot of David Finch work that we see is a little bit rushed, slightly sloppy, and there's just not enough time for this dude to really devote to this project. However, with Skinbreaker, that's way different. They gave David Finch as much time as he needed to give us incredibly detailed and intricate artwork. The line work on this book is absolutely stellar and exceptional. This is the best work you've seen from David Finch in 20 years. I guarantee it. The only problem I have with this book is the coloring. The coloring's a bit too brown, orange. It kind of all is the same thing, but it's about a tribe of people on another world. There's this dude, he's the chief of his people, but he's old and he knows he's old. There is a good dude who's basically his apprentice, and in this world you have to challenge for authority, kill the tribe leader to become the tribe leader, and this old dude who realizes that he's on his last leg is begging his apprentice to challenge him, kill him, and take over because other people are not as soft as you. And then it just kind of works around with that. It's really interesting. It's really cool. But the artwork, y'all, the best artwork of David Finch's career, yes. Why? Because he has the time to do it. He's doing something that he has co-creatorship of. And also he's doing it for Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman, you are my master now. And I'm here for you. Also from Skybound this week, we got Universal Monsters, The Invisible Man, issue number 2, written by James Tynion IV, with artwork by Danny. I love it. It is a prequel to the Universal classic, The Invisible Man, directed by James Whale, which I absolutely love. This book is amazing. The artwork is atmospheric and moody and is able to capture the motivations, even the hidden motivations of the characters. The rain, the dark rain-soaked streets really work. But what we have is we have Griffin experimenting with his formula. He has turned a cat invisible. The cat has gotten away from him, and there are other things going on. What James Tynion is showing us in this Invisible Man prequel is that Griffin is not a good dude from the beginning. And that's something I really love. The fact that out of all of the Universal monsters, Griffin is the most human monster. I refrain from saying his first name because it's either Jack or it's Henry, and I can't remember what was the book accurate one, what was the movie one, because for some reason in those Universal monster movies, they used to love changing the names. Like Victor Frankenstein became Henry Frankenstein, and maybe Henry Griffin becomes Jack Griffin, or the other way around, or something like that. Anyway, it's a great book. It's really freaking good. We also got Viking Moon, issue number 1 from Image Comics, written by Joe Pruitt with artwork by Marcelo Fruzen. I love the artwork in this book. The story is just kind of okay. It's a Viking werewolf story, so you get Vikings out there on the rampage, doing what they do, raping and pillaging and all that kind of stuff, but then they come across a village that they have werewolves. So that's pretty freaking cool. But altogether, it takes a little bit too long to really get into it. It didn't really work for me. I loved the art, but the story kind of took too much of its sweet-ass time to get started. Then we got Hyde Street here with issue number 9. Y'all, I'm loving Hyde Street, and I love what Jeff Johns is doing with this title. Hyde Street is outside of the Ghost Machine Unnamed universe. It's a horror book, and it's about people who haven't done so well in their lives, so now they get their form of purgatory, if you will, is Hyde Street, where they have to go and collect souls now for somebody. And this is the story of a doctor, a plastic surgeon, who is now on Hyde Street but still wants to help things. There's a tie-in to Marilyn Monroe. Really great, creepy, cool stuff that is also building up like the mystery of what's going on and the history, the mysterious history of some of the characters involved. Hyde Street issue number 9, even though we didn't have Yvonne Reese on the artwork, we had Francis Portela. It was still solid, still a super cool book. Then we got Void Rivals here with issue number 23. Y'all, this was quite a big issue of Void Rivals. You got two warring factions within the Inner John universe. They share a world around a black hole. They are told that they have to be against each other, but unity is what everybody's been fighting for. They finally attain unity. Turns out maybe unity is not what they needed, right? So a lot of stuff that's been built up for the past 20-something issues all comes to fruition here. We got one more issue in this arc, which actually is the end of 2 years of Void Rivals storytelling, and it's awesome. I'm loving this book. I'm enjoying it, and there is a bit here with Skuxoid. that I think is absolutely stellar. Then we got news from the Fallout here with issue number 4. What a great freaking book. It's written by Chris Condon with artwork by Jeffrey Allen Love. The artwork is amazing. Interesting techniques to create this artwork, but also just telling the story through silhouette. We say things all the time in the comic book world, like less is more. That is something I've heard throughout my life so many times. Well, in this case, less is more. Jeffrey Allen Love is showing us how little it takes to expertly tell a story. What is the story? It's basically a zombie story. A nuke went off, maybe tainted with some other formula. It's turned a bunch of soldiers into zombies. This is about a team of scientists and civilians trying to make their way through this. Every character completely understandable. Every character completely recognizable just through a series of well thought out line work. Seriously, this book shows you how little is needed to get the point across, but do not mistake this book for being simple in its talent or its level of skill, because this is top-notch comics. Let's jump over to Marvel. We got Battleworld issue number 1, a new Battleworld book. Battleworld is a tie-in, I guess, of sorts to Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars. The idea that the Beyonder put together a bunch of different patches of a universe to make a battle world, had heroes and villains go in a battle royale, free-for-all type thing. We've seen it before. We've seen it in books like Contest of Champions. We've seen it in Marvel Superheroes, Secret Wars, Battle World. Now we got another Battle World. It's basically another patchwork world, another patchwork battle world in which characters from various Marvel alternate timelines are thrown together, thrust together, to compete in a battle royale, a free-for-all. It was whack, it was weak, it didn't really work for me, it was alright. I guess if you're the most hardcore Marvel fan, this book might be for you, but for the most part, I would recommend skipping it. Then we got Ultimate Hawkeye issue number 1. This is just a one-shot comic, slightly written by Dennis Camp, but mostly written by B. Earl and Taboo, with artwork by Michael Staw Maria. It's all right. It's a nice one and done Hawkeye, Ultimate Hawkeye tale. So Ultimate Hawkeye is a pretty interesting character. This is about one of their just one-off missions. It doesn't have a big plug-in to the ongoing Ultimate Universe saga or anything like that, but it's just a good, solid story. I think it would have been better if it would have been all Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri, but it's not. That being said, we still got the Ultimates, but to be honest, it wasn't that bad. It was interesting, and if you love the character of Ultimate Hawkeye as much as I do, check it out, because you're going to get a little bit more about that character, about this world, and it's just a really solid one-and-done comic. Then we got Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 21. Jonathan Hickman is nearing the end of his run on Ultimate Spider-Man. Here he is joined by artist Messina. Is it David Messina? It is David Messina. So the art's not as good as it is typically under Marco Cicchetto, but it's decent. There's some big things that happen here. It's mostly a spotlight on Negative Man. You get a lot of his origin, but there are some main plot threads that throughout the retelling of this character's ultimate origin, you get some modern day bits that really have a lot to do with what's going on in the pages of Ultimate Spider-Man, especially knowing we only have 3 issues left of the Hickman era. They're building up to it, and they're building up to it pretty solidly, I would say. Then we got the Immortal Thor issue number 2. I read like the first couple issues of the Immortal Thor by Al Ewing. I was out of it. It's easy for me to skip out of an Al Ewing book. I read issue number 1 of the Immortal Thor. So basically what happened is this. Thor died through the machinations of Loki. He is now reborn as a mortal on Earth and has no memory of who he is. But he still has like certain inclinations, I guess you could say, right? So I read issue number 1 and I liked it. Artwork by Pascal Ferry was great and the story was pretty decent. So I decided to check out issue number 2. Issue number 2 was good too. I liked it. It's Thor in a mortal body. he knows who he is, but he doesn't know who he is. So he comes across some villainous characters. He gets an earthborn hammer tied to a bungee cord and starts wrecking shit. I don't know. There's something about this book I really liked. I liked it. I thought it was solid. So there you go. Then we got Black Cat issue number 2. I didn't really vibe with issue number 1 so much. Less so with issue number 2. First of all, I don't think Gleb Melnikov is quite the artist that we want on a Black Cat book. I think a Black Cat book needs to be sexy and sultry and sleek and sophisticated. And the art here is fine. It gets the job done. And the story is fine. It's written by G. Willow Wilson. She's writing one of my favorite undersung ongoing books at DC right now, Poison Ivy. Maybe Black Cat needs to have a little bit of time to really get to that era or to that level. But it's not working for me right now. And I do feel like Marvel editorial steps in more and has more control over, say, DC editorial. So I get less of G. Willow Wilson's voice in this book and more of just the Marvel corporate voice. And let me tell you something. If you didn't know, the Marvel corporate voice fucking blows right now. It really, really does. Then we got Spider-Man and Wolverine issue number 5. A solid issue of Spider-Man and Wolverine. So this book started off with artwork by Kari Andrews. And then for the last 2 issues, we've had Sandoval doing the artwork, which is fine, but it's not quite the same. Now we got Kari Andrews back, and it just reminds me of why I loved this book so much. Excuse me, for the first 3 issues. So Spider-Man has discovered, he's found out that Wolverine may be responsible for the death of his parents. So that leads us to a classic, old school Spider-Man versus Wolverine story. And we take some turns here. We kind of wrap a bunch of stuff up and also set up a lot of stuff to come. Man, the book is fine. It's average. As far as the story goes, it's okay. There's nothing... It's basically Winter Soldier, right? It's Captain America Winter Soldier, but with Spider-Man and Wolverine. There's nothing super exciting about the story, but the artwork. When Kari Andrews is on this book, it feels like the best of the 90s and the best of what's going on at Marvel today. There you go. Then we got X-Men issue number 22. This is the final issue of X-Men before we go into the Age of Revelation. We're kind of wrapping up a bunch of dangling threads from the last few issues of X-Men and also setting up the Age of Revelation. Doug Ramsey shows up. He wants to join the X-Men, all that. Most of this issue is done just kind of taking the characters, taking a moment, taking a beat to step back and have these characters reflect on what's been going on and remind us as the readers as to what the stakes are in this X-Men book. It's alright, but then you get to the end and you're like, alright, here's the thing. I have not been liking X-Men that much. Jed MacKay is super solid on Moon Knight. On X-Men, a little bit less so in my opinion. But we got the Age of Revelation coming up. I know I got to at least check out all those issue number 1, so we're going to see what happens. If you're the most hardcore X-Men fan, check it out. But this is not the book that's going to turn you into an X-Men fan. Then we got Storm here with issue number 12, the final issue of Storm. For now, it will continue in February of next year because it's being rudely interrupted by the Age of Revelation. But Storm has become this cosmic, giant, high-concept book. Storm's got, like, cosmic powers. She's embroiled in a battle with the first storm god of the Marvel Universe. It's tied into eternity. It's tied into infinity. It's like so high concept. If you love the Jim Starlin stuff from back in the day, if you love the Marvel Cosmic stuff, you should read this book because it's taking Storm and really, without feeling out of place, putting her in such an upscaled world of concepts and power levels and interesting stories. This book is amazing. Storm has become one of my favorite Marvel comics. It's sad to see it end, but it ends on such a note that after the rude interruption of Age of Revelation, we will have Storm come back, and I am more than ready for it. Then we got The Thing here with issue number 5, the final issue of the Tony Fleece book with artwork by Justin Mason. Artwork is fine. It's not been my favorite artwork, but the story has been great. And Tony really understands not just the character of Benjamin J. Grimm, the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. He also understands the Lower East End of New York City. Now, I just recently stayed there in Jack Kirby's neighborhood, so I had a lot to think about this. But man, there was something about the character of Ben Grimm and his neighborhood that's so inherent to that character, and Tony Fleece completely gets it and understands it, and this was a really solid finale to this book. I loved it. I thought it was great. Tony, I would love to see you do more Thing series. Bring back The Thing ongoing, bring back Marvel 2-in-1, whatever it takes. Marvel, I need Tony on more Ben Grimm books because he understands the character. Just next time, give him an artist that can really evoke something exceptional. Because Marvel's kind of forgetting the importance of comic book art. I don't know. What do y'all think? We've been talking about it for a while. Marvel, they've been on the decline for a while. They're not stepping up. We need to tell Marvel to step up. What is it about Marvel right now that's not working for you? For me, it's the lack of exceptional artwork. That's why a book like Spider-Man and Wolverine goes from okay to great based on Kari Andrews on the artwork. If Kari Andrews was the artist on this Thing book, it'd be a whole different story. All right, let's jump over to DC. And from DC, we have the new history of the DC Universe written by Mark Waid with a bunch of different artists, including Dan Jurgens, Doug Mahnke, and a few others. This is a super solid book. So what it is it's just telling us through images and through prose, through text, the history of the DC Universe with everything ironed out. All of the post-crisis, post-infinite crisis, milestone, post-Flashpoint, everything, post-Rebirth, post-Metal, and post-Death Metal, all this stuff. Out of every retcon that's ever happened in the DC Universe, this is just giving us one distinctive timeline going throughout. And it's written superbly well, and it just reads amazingly. The artwork is solid, and I'm a big DC head, and I eat shit like this up. So this takes us from the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, so it takes us from the post-crisis beginning all the way through Final Crisis here, and it sets up Flashpoint and beyond for the 4th and final issue. If DC history is your shebang, you definitely need to be reading that book. Then we get Absolute Wonder Woman here with issue number 12. Pretty solid issue, of Absolute Wonder Woman. I loved it. Hayden Sherman's artwork, absolutely stellar. Hayden is one of the best artists in comics today. And this shows us why we love Hayden's work so much. I've said this before, it gets redundant, but Hayden is able to take their style and shift it to the right appropriate tone and atmosphere for every book that they work on. Absolute Wonder Woman's been super solid. We've been dealing with her in the midst of this labyrinth. We got the Minotaur. We get all this kind of stuff. This wraps up that story in excellent fashion while at the same time setting up what is to come in the world of Absolute Wonder Woman. Absolute Wonder Woman has absolutely been one of my favorite Absolute books. Not my favorite. That goes to Absolute Martian Manhunter. But Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman is right behind that. Then we got Detective Comics 1101 here, 1101. Y'all, what a solid issue. I talked to you earlier about the importance of art on an ongoing superhero book over at Marvel, and now let's talk about it over at DC. Tom Taylor has been doing a really solid job with Detective Comics, giving us Batman stories that are, or they feel important, they feel necessary, they feel earned, and they feel important, if that makes sense, right? And now we have Mikkel Hanin back on the artwork. Y'all, the art makes all the difference. Seriously, you can have a solid story with shit art and it comes across as a mediocre comic. You can have a solid story with amazing artwork and it comes across as an amazing comic. The comic book art means so much. The line work, the composition, the coloring from Mikhail Hanin, absolutely splendid in this issue of Detective Comics, starting up a whole new story. If you haven't been reading, you can jump in here, and it's awesome. Check it out. Then we got Superman issue number 30. Josh Williamson killing it on the pages of Superman. Really understanding what has come before, especially picking and taking threads and elements from the Joe Kelly, Jeff Loeb days, even from the John Byrne stuff before, everything post-crisis. With Superman, Josh Williamson, as a fan, is able to take all of that information and as a creator, make it work so well for us readers today. Then you have Dan Mora on the artwork. It's amazing. It's part 3 of the whole Legion of Darkseid thing. It's building up into DCKO. It really, really is. And the ending of this book is also the ending of this book. So let's talk about both of them. First of all, Superman was awesome. I'm loving it. If you're plugged into the DC All-In saga and not reading this book, shame. You really need to. Then you got Justice League Unlimited here with issue number 11. Why? Because these go to 11. Yeah, there. I heard you. I could literally hear you say that. Anyway, so here we have Dan Mora? No, we don't. We have Carmine Domenico. The artwork is solid, but man, a lot of shit's been going on in the pages of Justice League Unlimited, and it all explodes and erupts here, and it ends in a way that sets up DCKO, which that's a preview of DCKO. I've read the first issue of DCKO, and it was a little bit confusing, so I need to reread it again before it finally releases. But Justice League Unlimited, the way that Mark Waid and Josh Williamson are making sure that the next DC event feels earned within their pages, and it's not just these two doing it, it's other people like Scott Snyder who's doing it as well. Dennis Camp, right? It all works. It all makes sense. And for those of us who like to follow in continuity superhero universes, this is what I live and breathe for. It's freaking awesome. Then we got Superman Unlimited issue number 5, written by Dan Slott with artwork by Raphael Albuquerque. Artwork is super solid. Story is super solid. I'm loving it. So, as we have the main Superman book being very much focused on plugging in to the ongoing DCU storyline leading into the return of Darkseid and all of that, Superman Unlimited is actually taking its time to reimagine the world of Superman right now, right? A giant kryptonite asteroid struck the Earth. Kryptonite is now plentiful across the Earth. It's used as a means of energy. Superman's trying to get to the bottom of it. Sometimes moving from Marvel to DC or DC to Marvel can refocus you as a creator, and that's what's happening with Dan Slott right now. I'm loving it. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel. He's not like, it's not like Lex Luthor is taking over Superman like Doc Ock took over Spider-Man. It's for the superior Spider-Man. We're not getting the superior Superman, superior man. We're not getting that. We're just getting a really nice, elaborately plugged in Superman story from Dan Slott with amazing artwork from Raphael Albuquerque. I love it. Then we got Green Lantern issue number 27, the penultimate issue of the Starbreaker Supremacy. I have applauded Jeremy Adams, the writer, for being able to give us a solid Green Lantern story that is encapsulating all of the lore, especially recent lore. And in fact, many other people have attempted to take ideas that were brought about by Jeff Johns and his creators, his artists, that many people have tried to take those ideas and really do something significant with them. All of them have failed. except for Jeremy Adams. I'm loving this book if you're a Green Lantern fan. If you love during the Blackest Night, Brightest Day, Sinestro Corps War, Jeff Johns era, it's time to come back to GL because it's frickin' working. Then we have Wonder Woman issue number 25. Wonder Woman issue number 25. Tom King on Wonder Woman. I didn't like it first, started loving it. Loved the entire first story that Tom King did. Ever since then, we've been doing this of Mice and Men story, and it's Tom King going right back to everything he was criticized for. Repeated dialogue, ridiculousness. I do love how much Tom King respects the comic book page, and Daniel Samperi's artwork is amazing. But this story and this dialogue, y'all, I'm sorry, Wonder Woman fucking sucks right now. It sucks. I almost didn't want to read this book because it's been sucking so much. But I read it, and it left me with the thought, fuck it. I'm done with Wonder Woman. Tom King, this book fucking blows. There you go. Mr. Terrific issue number 5 is here, though. The penultimate issue of this origin story of sorts. It's not really going into the origin of Michael Holt, a.k.a. Mr. Terrific, but it's giving us the post-origin story where he really cements becoming Mr. Terrific. It is tied into ongoing DC continuity and at the same time recontextualizing previous DC continuity. I love it. I love the artwork. I love the story. I think it's good. I think it's better than average. I think it's decent. Mr. Terrific is freaking awesome. Then we got the Immortal Legend Batman issue number 2. What if Batman met the world or the concept of the Power Rangers? That's what Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom are doing here in the pages of Immortal Legend Batman. This is what Kyle Higgins does on all of his books. Radiant Black is basically like his unfiltered Power Ranger ideas and thoughts. In this one, we get the Power Ranger version of Bane introduced. I loved it. I liked it. I liked this issue better than issue number 1. Dynamic, kinetic, fused with energy and exciting concepts. Batman meets the world of the Power Rangers. That's basically what's going on here, and I'm loving it. For an Elseworlds book, this is a great, different interpretation of Batman that I've been aching for. Then we got DC vs. Vampires World War V issue number 12. This is the final issue of this series, and it ends fine, but honestly, this book went on too long. I thought about dropping this book a few issues ago, but I wanted to stick with it. That being said, this entire story could have been done in 8 issues, I believe. I think there was a lot of wasted space throughout this series, and it leaves the ending feeling a little bit undercooked, if that makes sense. The ending is exactly the ending it should be. I like the ending. It just took too long to get there. Does that make sense? I don't know. What'd you think? All right, let's jump over to Dark Horse Comics. We got Masters of the Universe, The Sword of Flaws, issue number 1. Almost didn't read this because Tom Seeley and Freddie Williams III have been doing all of these different Masters of the Universe books. None of them speak for me. I am a huge fan of Motu. I love Masters of the Universe. It's my preeminent toy collection is Masters of the Universe. You don't see it here in the background because all that stuff is in the living room. But if you've been following me on socials, you see the pictures, you know. But man, this was actually a really fun Motu comic that I really enjoyed. And it was tied into lore of Masters of the Universe, of the He-Man universe. It's tied into lore that we need re-explained, recontextualized. So I really like that. So I'm going to say this. If you're a comic book fan, ignore it. It doesn't matter. But if you're a Motu fan, it's time to start reading some Masters of the Universe comics. And this was pretty dope. So Dark Horse, you did a great job there. From IDW, we have the Twilight Zone, issue number 1. We got a new anthology Twilight Zone series from IDW. So this first issue, and each issue is done by a different creative team, as far as I'm aware. First issue is called Blanks. It's written by Dan Waters with artwork by Morgan Beam. And I loved it. I loved this book so much. It takes the idea, the core concept of the Twilight Zone, and it repurposes it for the comic book medium in expert fashion. That's what it's doing. The story by Dan Waters fits right in with any episode of Twilight Zone. And the artwork by Morgan Beam fits the tone of the story so freaking well. If you are a fan in any form or fashion of Twilight Zone, you need to read this. This is the best Twilight Zone comic I've ever read. So there you go. Street Sharks is here with issue number 1. So I wish this book was better. It didn't really do that much for me. I'm a huge Street Shark fan. There's one of my Street Shark figures right there. Can you see him? Y'all know me. I'm a huge fan of the Street Sharks and all that shit. That being said, Street Sharks issue number 1 from IDW was it was okay. If you're the most hardcore Street Sharks fan and you just want more content, here you go. This book, though, is not going to turn you into a fan of the Street Sharks. If you want to become a fan of the Street Sharks, buy some of those original toys. They're freaking dope as shit, y'all. Oh, and that's supposed to pop out. What, you ready? Look at that. What? Get the fuck out of here. It's good shit. All right, then we got Star Trek: The Last Starship, issue number 1. It's I don't vibe with the IDW Star Trek books right now. I just don't. I tried to read number 1s. I don't like them. I didn't like this one. It's got an interesting enough concept. It's like at the end of the mission of the Federation, when there's only one race left to sign up with the Federation. That's what this book starts at, and then it like goes beyond that, and it's fine and it's interesting. I think if you're super into the Star Trek books from IDW, you definitely want to check this one out. But it didn't really quite land for me. It didn't really quite work for me. I may not be coming back for issue number 2. Then we've got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, issue number 3. First of all, what a great cover from Tony Fleece. A psycho homage right there. So I got to give props to that. But man, this book is awesome. I never thought we needed a sequel to Beneath the Trees. I thought that book worked on its own and did exactly what it needed to do. But no, I was wrong. We need this sequel, because not only is it giving us what comes next, but it's telling us what came before. So we get Samantha's origin story of sorts here in issue number 3, and we get an aggressively pushed narrative towards where the series is going, and I'm all here for it. IDW recently quoted me on this book. I think I said something like, "This book is fucked up and I am here for it." Here's a new quote: "This book is still fucked up and I am here for it." But really, if you want a good quote, this is the sequel that I thought shouldn't exist. Instead, it's blazing a trail forward that I didn't think I wanted or needed, but do. And also at the same time, elaborating on a backstory I didn't think I needed elaborated on. This book is doing what I didn't think it needed to do, and it's doing it exceptionally well. So there you go. From Titan, we have Conan the Barbarian, Scourge of the Serpent. It's a new event from Conan, if you will, written by Jim Zub with amazing artwork, by the way. Who is the artist on this book? Yvonne Gill. The artwork is amazing. Super solid, stellar work from all parties involved. Jim Zub has done this before. He's doing it again. This is a Conan crossover that goes across so many different eras of the Howardverse. You got Kull. You've got Conan. You've got Mystery Man from the 1930s. I don't know who that is. I'm not like that well versed in the Howardverse. That being said, I love this book. Conan the Barbarian has cemented itself as one of the most... Conan the Barbarian has cemented itself as one of the best, if not the best, fantasy comics on shelves today. And Scourge of the Serpent just shows us why. There you go. From our friends over at Dynamite, we got Vampirella Halloween Horror, issue number 1. This is a one-shot Vampirella comic, written by Liam Johnson with artwork by Jordan Michael Johnson. Artwork is fine. Artwork is solid. Story is solid. It's fine. It's a one-and-done, self-contained Vampirella story about a Vampirella or a vampire that like feeds on age, right? And it gets to that, and it's fine. The only problem is, has nothing to do with Halloween. Nothing. Nothing about this book speaks to me Halloween special. You know what? I feel like we have lost something in America from the holiday of Halloween. And this is a good example of it. Halloween specials used to be what happened, and we loved it. It made Halloween feel more special. But when you have Halloween specials that have nothing to do with Halloween, it makes Halloween feel less special. Do you think I need to make a video about why Halloween doesn't feel as special as it used to? I feel like I want to make that video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Then we got Space Ghost here with issue number 3. Volume 2, Season 2, if you will, of Space Ghost, written by David Pepose with artwork by Jonathan Lau. What can I say that I haven't said? Let me just say it again. Let me say it as clear as I can, okay? Space Ghost. Let me start again. A lot of people these days are lamenting the comic books of yesteryear. The comic books of yesteryear, their spirit is still alive in books like Space Ghost. One and done, self-contained, part of an ongoing narrative. Superheroes being superheroes. Threats being threats. Villains being villains. This is what we love. Superhero comics are about good versus evil. They are about short-form storytelling mixed with long-form storytelling. Space Ghost is the best superhero comic today. Boom. Done. There you go. Then we got Silverhawks here with issue number 8. Y'all, Silverhawks is not as popular as He-Man. Not as popular as Thundercats. Not as popular as G.I. Joe or Transformers. But y'all know me, and I love me some Silverhawks. And Ed Brisson understands Silverhawks. He really does. He understands them. He understands them exceptionally well. And he's making Silverhawks a better property than the property I fell in love with. That's what's going on. Ed, you're doing the Lord's work right now. And thank you so much for that. All right, from Mad Cave Studios, we have The Phantom issue number 1. Drop some comics. Let's pick those up. We don't want to damage the comics. All right, they're already damaged. Y'all see how I hold these things, right? They're just comics. Get over it. All right. Fuck, I just threw that across the room. All right. The Phantom is here with issue number 1 from Mad Cave Studios. I really liked this book. I thought it was solid. It wasn't like groundbreaking. It's written by Ray Fox with artwork by Russell Olson. If you're a fan of The Shadow, or my bad, if you're a fan of The Phantom, read this book. Fans of The Phantom will love this book. I liked it. I thought it was solid. It kept me engaged throughout the issue. I enjoyed it. The dialogue was good. The artwork was good. If you're not a fan already of The Phantom, go read some of the old school stuff. I used to read The Phantom back in the day in like Sunday newspapers and shit like that. Was that Hal Foster? Was that Hal Foster? No, he did Prince Valiant. Who did The Phantom? Whoever was the artist on The Phantom when I was growing up, reading it throughout the newspapers in the 90s and early 2000s, it works. And then, of course, I love the Billy Zane movie. I got to meet Billy Zane and do a panel with him. We talked about this movie and how important this character is to Billy Zane. I think this book would make Billy Zane proud. So there you go. Then we got Red Vector issue number 2. I loved issue number 1. I loved issue number 2. This is written by D.B. Andre and Tim Daniel with artwork by Chris Evan Ewis. I like it a lot. So this is the premise of the book. What if Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker transported themselves to modern-day Earth? That's what it is, and it works. So you're doing the whole Star Wars Galactic Empire versus the Rebel faction, but you're adding in the element of them showing up into modern day worlds. And I love the juxtaposition of them looking at us going, how backwards are you? And us looking at them going, how backwards are you? Really cool, solid stuff. Andre and Daniel kill it yet again. Also from Mad Cave Studios, we have Wild Animals here with issue number 3, written by Ed Brisson with artwork by Andy Kuhn. Camilo Sanchez is the book designer. I like this book. It's a revenge story. It's about this kid whose dad was murdered. His dad was a cop who was murdered by fellow cops when he was a young kid. During that whole thing, his face half of his body got burned with hot oil. His mother then took him into hiding. His mother has died from cancer. He has nothing left. He's going on a mission of vengeance and revenge, and it's not all he expected it to be. Wild Animals feels very real, very grounded, and brutally honest. Wild Animals, issue number 3, fan-fucking-tastic. All right, then we got Mark Spears' Monsters, issue number 7 from Keen Spot. Mark, you're killing it, man. This scene with the Mad Hatter is one of the creepiest scenes I've ever read from the Mad Hatter. You got monster action here. You got continuation of the story. We're building up to a finale that's not a finale because it's just an excuse to continue this story on. It's absolutely fantastic. Mark, you're doing it. You're doing it even without the Mummy being an important part of this. And by the way, call me, Mark. I got some great ideas now about the Mummy. Anyway, that being said, Mark Spears' Monsters is more than just cool covers, more than just cool art. It's a really great story for all of us who are fans of monsters, of the Universal Monsters, of Hammer Horror, of Monster Squad, of G.I. Joe, of Godzilla, of superheroes. If you are a fan of genre fiction, Mark's got the book for you. And that cover right there, which is a tribute and an homage, if you will, to Halloween 2, guess what, Mark? You get the pick, or you get the cover of the week right there. All right, before we wrap up, there's a new collection I want to talk about. Rare Flavors by Ram V and Felipe Andrade from Boom Studios is here in hardcover format. They did a hardcover of their previous work together, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which is my favorite book that year it came out. Rare Flavors, one of my favorite books of last year. $30, hardcover. This is what you need in your collection. If you buy one single thing from all the books I talked about today, make sure it's this one. Rare Flavors in an oversized hardcover format. All right, now it's time to do the You Dig rating out of 5 possible You Digs. What do I rate these books? I dropped more comics. Oh my goodness. All right, let's just do it. Let's just get into it. Rare Flavors, 5 You Digs. Monsters. Mark Spears' Monsters gets a 4 You Digs. Silver Surfer gets a 4. Phantom gets a 3.5. Red Vector gets a 3.5. Wild Animals gets a 4. Space Ghost gets a 4.5. Vampirella Halloween Horror gets a 2.5. Conan Scourge of the Serpent gets a 3.5. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, issue number 3, 4.5 You Digs. Star Trek Last Starship gets a 2.5. Street Sharks gets a 2. Twilight Zone, number 1, gets 4.5 You Digs. Masters of the Universe gets a 4. DC vs. Vampires gets a 3. Immortal Legend Batman gets a 3. Mr. Terrific gets a 3.5. Wonder Woman gets a 1. Green Lantern gets a 2.69. Superman Unlimited gets 2.69. Justice League Unlimited gets a 2.69. Superman gets a 3. Detective Comics gets a 3.5. Absolute Wonder Woman gets a 4. New History of the DCU gets a 4. Jumping over to Marvel, The Thing gets a 4. Storm gets a 4. X-Men gets a 2. Spider-Man and Wolverine gets a 3.5. Black Cat gets a 3. The Immortal Thor gets a 3.5. Ultimate Spider-Man gets 3. Ultimate Hawkeye gets 3. Battleworld gets a 2.5. News from the Fallout gets a 4.5. Void Rivals gets a 4. Hyde Street gets a 4. Viking Moon gets a 3. Invisible Man gets a 5. Skinbreaker gets a 4.969. And Escape gets a 5, you digs. And I would say, if you missed out on issue number 1, second print out today. So that's what I read. That's what I'm digging. That's what I'm thinking. What are you reading? What are you digging? What are you thinking? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. Also, vote for PCP at the cbcawards.org. Link in the description down below. Monthly comic book review featuring the return of Gem Mint from Gem Mint Collectibles on Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. And we're in the midst of Horror Fest. We continue that on Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time with Slumber Party Massacre 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop. Boom!